Good morning and a warm welcome to the big show, The Dialogue. My name is Prince Apollo. Salutations to our viewers who are watching Salt TV on all our platforms. It's been a busy week and it's time to go down and analyze the big events which made this week, and it's in The Dialogue. The panel is set. Dr. Jada Duere-Wanzala is missing in action, but Richard Baguma, a communication specialist, is here with us, joined by the Honorable Stephen Mugole from Kabweri County, a trade unionist and a Pan-Africanist in the studios. Welcome aboard. We start off the show, but let's have our guests speak to you before we kick off the big debate. Richard, you came in first. Speak to our viewers.
Good morning, Apollo, and good morning to our viewers. As always, by the grace of the Almighty, we are here.
Good.
And we thank Him for yet another opportunity to interface and share. And I am looking forward to the next 2 hours of some hopefully interesting sharing. And I'm glad to have the malaria fighting man in studio with me. Yeah, looking forward to a good show.
Yeah. Welcome. It's always a privilege to have you on this show, Richard.
Thank you.
And Honorable, speak to our viewers.
I want to thank you, colleagues Richard and Prince Apollo, for this dialogue ever, and thank the Almighty who gives us this breath. Without Him, we can't. So through the mighty Messiah, we thank Him for the opportunity for us to serve this nation. I want to greet all my people in this country, but most especially the people of Kibuku. Today I'm looking different. This is not how I always come in the studio, but I had no time of changing, but also why should I change? Because I have been in a peaceful walk against malaria. At Parliament, we have a parliamentary forum for malaria, fighting against malaria. And the Deputy Speaker, Right Honorable Thomas Tayebwa, is the patron. So he was the chief worker, together with the Honorable Minister of Health, Dr. Ruth Acheng, and various members of Parliament, the community, and the stakeholders in the fight against malaria. So I have just left that function taking place, the speeches, but I had made mine already, so I left and I excused myself from the speaker that I'm having this dialogue, which is our weekly event. So I want to greet all of you and may God bless you all.
We appreciate your presence here, Honorable. One quick comment on the cause for the work against malaria.
Yeah, Uganda has one of the highest incidence of malaria in Africa, in fact, in the world. And why I was specifically there too, apart from Uganda alone, again, Kibuku district, where I come from, has the highest incidence of complicated malaria.
Really?
A bigger number of people have died of malaria in Kibuku than any other area in this country. Whereas we have the highest incidence of malaria prevalence in northern Uganda, but the highest prevalence of complicated malaria that causes black water fever, causing children to urinate blood, collapsing of kidneys, is Kibuku. So Kibuku has been donating like malaria. And that is why we chose as government, because in Parliament, my honorable colleague, Herbert Kinovere, we agreed, he proposed, and I seconded, and asked government to carry out the World Malaria Day this year in Kibuku.
Oh.
So whereas the date for the World Malaria Day is different, it's just next week, but we have pushed the national celebrations to be in Kibuku on 3rd May. And the reason is because the person in charge of malaria in the whole world will be available.
Okay.
So he's coming to Kibuku, and he was not available on the Rio Day, 24th, when the World Malaria Day is to take place. So we had the government had to postpone because we want him. He needs to see. We shall even check on the Kibuku Community Hospital. Because of this malaria prevalence, even the ministry has upgraded Kibuku Health Center from being only a health center to a community hospital. So in order to fight malaria together. So at Parliament, because we have a parliamentary forum, which is chaired by Dr. Vatua from Jinja, the Shadow Minister for Health, together with other parliamentarians, almost 300 of us, who constitute that parliamentary forum. That's why we had to come together with other stakeholders at Parliament because this is now a Malaria World Day week, and that's why we were in this walk.
So it's a good cause, raising awareness and looking at strategies to fight and end malaria.
Yes, please.
In Uganda.
In Uganda, and we are sure that that fight now is on. People are sensitized, and we shall fight malaria out.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure having you on the show. Richard, one word. Hope this walk against malaria won't be like other walks we have seen. We know the walk against corruption, how it ended. One word and we move on.
No, you are just tickling me because associated sometimes with fighting corruption. But first of all, it is healthy for the workers to work.
Yes.
Yeah, so even if we didn't achieve anything else, there is some health benefits for people to work.
Yeah, we worked for 1 hour.
Yeah, but two, that the parliamentarians are the ones taking leadership on this.
Oh, yeah.
Perhaps it could make a change.
Yeah, true.
And for me, malaria is like an ignored crisis. In my health communication work, I think malaria is an ignored crisis. Even when you have a global fund, it's as if the global fund is for AIDS alone. But you know, it's for AIDS, it's for malaria and tuberculosis.
TB.
Yeah, it's actually a global fund
For the three.
But what you hear always is
AIDS.
HIV/AIDS. So malaria is the disease that creates the largest number of sick people
and deaths
in this country.
In sub-Saharan Africa.
First, forget even death. Just sick people.
Okay.
Yes, you have more than 200 million people who are sick about daily on this continent.
Oh.
Going to hospital daily just because of malaria. So even if you are treating them for $5, how much money is that? Yeah, so sickness. But if you look also at sickness, you see, sorry, I'm going into health. The largest out-of-pocket expenditure for a household in Uganda is on
health. And majorly malaria.
The largest cause of that is malaria. So if we could intervene there, it is also a poverty eradication. I mean, it has so many angles to it.
Right.
Yes. So it's important. It's very, very important that we focus on malaria.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Richard. And I take the pleasure to introduce to you Patrick Katabazi and Chichoncho. Patrick is an economist and a policy analyst. Welcome to the big show, the dialogue, Patrick.
Yes, good morning, gentlemen, and good morning to our viewers.
Okay, well, let's kick off the debate now. But before we go straight to the big story about the standoff and the outcry that has run now for more than 2 weeks with traders expressing discontent on matters of taxation and the tax policy in Uganda. We have had sad stories within this week. One comment, please. One comment on the passing of Dr. Alika. And Dr. Martin Alika is a renowned businessman, dentist, yes, I think, and a community leader in Uganda. Actually, President Museveni government accorded him an official burial. He will be buried tomorrow on Sunday in Gulu, but he has been outspoken on many things, and it's really sad. Many other we lost many people within this week, but just a comment on Dr. Martin Alika, whom we think has left a mark, has made the mark during his 93 years of life. Richard, I think you must have crossed path with Martin Alika. One comment.
It was a chance meeting, actually, the first meeting. There was some work that was happening that involved foreign dignitaries, and he was like the envoy for the president. But then as we were waiting, he had jokes. He was making, he's kind of had a way of making people laugh all the time. But also, I think he was in kind of every regime somehow. Yeah, so he had stories from every regime. And then that prompted me later to go read his book. Yes, I said, let me go. It's a very serious book, but dotted with a lot of funny stories. Yeah, but he has rested. I mean, for me, if you are 90 plus, really, he has rested. He has, and I think he has done a lot more work in the corporate world, really, than even in dentistry or elsewhere. So he has contributed.
Oh, yeah?
And now he has rested.
Oh, yeah.
So I think it's really rest in peace.
Thank you. Honorable, one comment, very short one.
Yeah, short one is that first of all, the passing on of Honorable Martin Alika was even ably communicated to Parliament. On that very day, fellow members of Parliament, 3 of them lost their parents. Dr. Chuti, Honorable Margaret, Dr. Magolo, all these lost very important parents. But Martin Alika, having been formerly a minister for parliamentary affairs and a dedicated servant of this country, my first interaction with him is when I was still working in Sheraton Kampala Hotel. He was giving us a story as he grew up together with his younger brother. He used to call the Kawaka Mutebi, his younger brother, that they grew up together in London. And he was telling us a story. He was so humorous. But I lost my father just last December at the age of 93. So if Dr. Alika had reached 93, that is just resting in peace. After 90, you according to the Bible, then you are older than the Bible's age, which is a maximum of 80. So if you are 90, that is 13 years older. And we pray for his eternal rest.
Good.
And I thank the government for according him an official burial.
Patrick, as an economist, I was struck by one wish I think he made before he died. Wreaths are discouraged at his burial, and all contributions should be made, should be channeled to support education for needy children in Acholi. Those are some of his wishes.
That was great.
Yes, that's very impressive. So I personally didn't know Dr. Martin Alika, but I've gotten to know of him from the works that he has been involved in At 93, of course, he has been blessed, of course, with the gift of life, long life. He was a minister, as you have heard, presidential advisor, and he has sat on over 40 boards of different organizations, most of whom are business enterprises. So he has had 93 years, in my view, of a very, very successful career in his profession, but in business, in community leadership, and basically in public life. And that tells you a lot about his wishes. Of course, he was the founding chancellor of Guru University. He has been a chancellor of Victoria University. So if one of the wishes is such that money collected for funeral expenses be converted to support education, it really tells you the kind of person he has been and the passion that he has had for education. And I think that also opens doors for people to think outside the box about some of the monies that we lavishly spend
on barriers.
And also the need to have decent but also very modest barriers. So I think for me his wishes is a lesson. It is something that we learn from, and possibly many of us should start thinking in that direction, that even when we die.
I heard one of the organizers say that even the ceremonies will be very, very different. There is a specific period of time. They must be punctual and they must be shortened such that people should go back to their work. There is something to learn possibly from.
Yes, there's a lot that we need to learn in our society. In the community where I come from, people sell land in order to send off their dear ones, and then that, of course, leaves those who are those who have been left behind in dire need of land and many other resources that could sustain them. So it is very important that these kinds of examples open our eyes to the realities that we need to start thinking about, and for me has led the way, and it is something that we could learn from.
Thank you so much, Patrick, and thank you so much, our viewers. Now we kick off the dialogue. The big story is the standoff between traders and the tax collecting board, the URA, over what they call a harsh business environment in Uganda, with several demands put to government, and this culminated into a meeting with the head of state last evening, and from that meeting it has been agreed that the traders open shops to, starting today and onwards, but the president promised the traders that there is need for more consultations on several demands, and some of the demands included a review of a recently introduced digital system, IFRIS, and IFRIS is an electronic fiscal receipting and invoicing solutions. Traders were saying this should be suspended. The implementation and use of IFRIS should be suspended for some time as they get to know about it. And then the other demands were on reducing the VAT rate in Uganda from 18% to 16%. They also argued on unfair competition in businesses, with foreigners being given privileges at the expense of local businessmen. Very many issues and very many demands, but it has been agreed that possibly the president, the traders should go back and open the shops. But now, gentlemen, we sit to evaluate what has come out of this meeting. Closing shops for almost a whole week is not a simple thing. We have lost huge revenues. We have lost much during this time as the business community, not only in Kampala and even in other major towns, remained closed. Let's look at now the outcome of this standoff. And Patrick, you will take the first shot as an economist. From what has been agreed upon, do you think we can now say the problem has been settled or not?
First and foremost, taxation is a very important tool that government employs to collect resources to run government and provide public goods and services. So it's a very, very important thing that we must appreciate first and foremost. Secondly, taxation or taxes, even from the biblical times, is not something that people are excited about. People are always hesitant. People are always fighting taxes. And that is certainly the case in Uganda. When you look at the strike that has been ongoing, I hope today the traders have gone to their shops and opened them. You also realize that you have a system which is EFRIS that people were saying is a tax. Because in their wisdom, they were trading, they were, some of them, filing returns for income tax, and they thought this device coming on board or this platform coming on board, and then there's another question of taxation that is involved, that in essence was creating an additional tax. But how did it arise? Now, under our tax procedures code, all these are in law and members of parliament have passed them, including mandatory or forced VAT registration. So there's a threshold for VAT registration, 150 million. So, but if in the wisdom of URA, or if a taxing officer or tax officer has assessed that you are within that band, the law allows them to actually register you for VAT, but also retrospectively. They can trace your tax history and say, you know what, we are registering you
for VAT.
Yes, 2 years behind, but then also assess you backwards. So tax laws are kind of laws that are allowed to act retrospectively in case there is some tax liability that has accrued over the years, or the tax liability has not been reported. So what is happening now is that the manufacturers were enrolled on EFRIS. Suppliers, major suppliers, EFRIS. Supermarkets, EFRIS. So now it is cascading downwards to small-scale business persons.
What does that mean? Double taxation?
Now, it means that, as a matter of fact, URA and government is being fair. Yes, by extending the same treatment to other players in the market. But where is the problem?
As long as their businesses meet the threshold of 150 million.
But where is the problem? The problem here is that our traders have been having their historical pricing mechanism that did not envisage things like 18% VAT. Because now remember, the 18% VAT levy is not paid by the trader.
It is paid by the
It is paid by the customer. But also remember, it has an implication on the price. So now what happens is that I have imported goods, they are in my shops, I am selling them the normal price. Right?
Okay.
So but now, and people are coming to me every day because, I mean, that's the price that they have known. So now when customers come the following morning and said, you know, I am levying 18%, then the price jumps, and then this customer of mine is going to go to another shop, try another one, try another one, try another one, and I start getting instability in the market.
Yeah.
So for me, the issue of EFRIS and VAT 18% has been more of an issue of pricing. How do we move from our context where we've been operating to this new era where, as a matter of fact, now our pricing should be able to reflect the 18% component. That's area number one. Area number two.
So from that you agree, from your submission you agree that indeed the traders had a reason to complain.
Yes.
So they have a reason to complain
Yes.
because of what has come. But then also we must appreciate that we have limited business development support services that government provides or URA provides. In some other countries that I have had the privilege of staying in or properly studying about, is that the tax body works with the trader or with the business person. From day one, they grow together up to the time now the tax agency thinks that now you're ready
To pay
pay all the requisite taxes. That includes providing education, that includes providing support for accounting programs, so that at the
which
end
is not the case
which is not the case in Uganda. That you register a company today, the moment you go to get a bank account, you must get a TIN.
Yeah.
When you get a TIN in the morning,
Immediately.
in the evening you receive an email from your RA asking you about your tax liability. And they were talking about a company.
And you're beginning it.
And you are beginning it now. But you also required to pay various fees and licenses all over the place before you even think about having an office. And that, in a way, because there is no systematic process that allows the tax authorities to grow with business persons to the extent possible, then you normally have misunderstandings that you have traders this other side who are not fully aware about their obligations and what actually the laws say or require of them. But otherwise, EFRIS as it is in Uganda, those devices that are applied on the platforms have been implemented in Tanzania, for example, and Kenya, Ethiopia. Ethiopia could be 15 years now. In Tanzania and Kenya, this could be about 10 years old, and Rwanda here. And they are working. So, but the other angle that I wanted to also talk about is that the value-added tax in its nature is that you, the person who is a trader who is selling something, you're collecting on behalf of
URA.
But then also in your collecting, if you levy, if you issue a receipt, 18% VAT to your customer, but you as a business, you're also paying 18% on the goods or on your costs.
You pay at importation at where?
No, I'm talking about, yes, you have imported goods. Goods have come,
And
they're in
you
your
paid
shop, you're
18%.
operating normally. So now you're levying 18%, which is definitely for URA, not your money, but also in your operations as a business person, you are also paying VAT, for example, on rent.
Oh.
Yes, and utilities. So when you're filing, you balance the two. Yes, what you are paying and what your clients have paid that you are collecting on behalf of you balance the two. And in some cases, for those who have had the surplus, for example, who have spent more on VAT for their services and have collected less from their customers, then they're actually entitled to a refund or a credit. You get? So, but the problem we are seeing again is that I rent a building, office premises. The landlord is charging me 2 million.
Inclusive
But
of
he's
that.
giving me a receipt. No, he's giving me a receipt of 400,000. That is what is happening in most of the arcades and premises around town. So meaning that
Are you saying Isn't it cheating?
Yes, it is. But then also now with a system like this one.
Because for them, they feel also to be overcharged.
Yes. So now, because for them they're doing it for purpose of their tax reporting. But remember now, with things like IFRIS, which captures all these transactions, if it is seen that I have paid less, it disadvantages me because it undermines my
returns.
Yes, my returns. Because if I have paid more in adding value to my business, then I'm entitled to a refund, or to at least minimize what again I would have corrected in terms of VAT that I'm supposed to remit to URA. So there are many things.
So there are many factors.
So there are many things, there are many factors regarding the
businessmen trying to hide.
Yes.
They don't want to disclose
their
sales and transactions.
But remember, we are trading together. I am also trading with another person.
Let's bring in Honorable for a comment. But one before even we move on, do you think the agreement between the president and the traders has really settled this problem that caused the strike?
You see, for me, the whole thing is that we have, Zimbabwe used to call it presidentialism disease, where people believe that everything, really for people to be comfortable, the president has to say something or to do something. But I don't think that there's anything that happened in that meeting, or there's any new thing that happened in that meeting, other than what people have been saying all along, what the ministers have been saying all along, what other players have been saying all along. The number one, VAT is staying. IFRIS system is also staying. And perhaps what the president said is to suspend
the penalties
related to non-payment of VAT. Because you know, in our system, when you don't file returns for VAT in a month,
there's a penalty.
Penalties start accumulating, and of course, then if you plead that you lacked education or awareness about this whole thing, but again you are being forcefully enrolled on VAT, the law allows it. But and penalties have accumulated, you have a case.
So the problem,
but a political case in a sense that ignorance of the law is certainly not defense, but rather now for equity purposes, if you are not aware of what the obligations are, then now it is something that politicians now can start looking at. But meeting the president, so there's, you know, we have gone to the highest level. We have met the president, comes down. But I think
the problem remains.
For me, for business persons who are listening to us this morning, they should move as fast as possible to streamline their operations and get ready to pay the taxes. If they do not have personnel to assist them to get to see how these things works, this is the time to consider that, because this is not going to go away.
Thank you. Honorable, this issue came to Parliament. You spent at least 2 hours debating and discussing. But in all this, I didn't hear any one of you dissent from what the business community is demanding for, or they say are their grievances. So in essence, you support you believe and you agree with the traders that they have been held in chokehold for all this time. But here, the president agrees that they open shops again. Do you think the problem has been settled?
The answer is yes and no. I will begin this way, that there is no law we pass in Parliament without benchmarking. When we passed this law, we had benchmarked properly that it had worked and is working everywhere. The only problem we have in Uganda is tax administration. Tax administration. Because for us, after passing the law, the
tax
regulation
administration includes what?
Specifically? I'm coming. After passing the law, the instrument is done by the minister. Regulations are done by the ministry, and Uganda Revenue Authority administers the law together with the regulations and the code of practice and guidelines. What has happened here, why you see this hullabaloo, is how it was administered.
Oh, yeah.
This law was passed during COVID in 2021. It was not immediately implemented. In 2022, it started in major factories, major industries. And there was no hullabaloo there. Though the complaint was, as he said, from the biblical times. That's why the major terms in taxation include those, many but not limited to avoidance and evasion.
People naturally do not want to pay taxes.
They want to avoid or to evade taxation. So that's when you saw on every bottle having a stamp on top and whatever. You want to find how many produce. And people don't want always to reveal their profitability of an organization. But here, this IFRIS system reveals the profitability of the organization. Because whatever you produce is known.
Yeah.
People were making batches of either water and they don't show that this batch has passed through a particular system. So IFRIS came to do two major things. One, to know your productivity level, but also two, to ensure that you are not cheated. Your taxation is dependent on how you have invoiced or receipted. Because now, even without an accountant, you can do self-accounting because of the system. Where the administration is wrong is where the regulation was that, because in the law, we did not say the owner of the business must buy the gadgets.
Yeah.
But now you are putting me on the IFRIS system. You have not educated me. You are also asking me to buy the gadget, which is over 1.2 million shillings. It was not subsidized by government.
An extra expense.
An extra expense.
On the side
what
of the
this would have been, once you find out that I am eligible to the threshold of 150 million shillings a year, then what URA would have done, or us, or was to come back to Parliament, that government provides these gadgets to every businessman who has a threshold of 150 million. The one who is beyond 150 and is maybe 300 billions, those big industries, those ones can afford. But this other person, small person, who is even saying, no, I don't make the 150. But for you are saying he makes.
Actually, they were demanding that the threshold should be actually increased from 150 million to 1 billion. That's one of their demands.
That demand is not tenable because that's big. You know, it started at 50 million.
Yes.
And it was taken to 150. In taxation, we can't just jump like that. That jumping is also for evasion of taxation. So to say the problem is solved is not. Why? Because the person who is going to charge 18% selling a loaf of bread, because for him he has been seen to make 150 million shillings a year, there is another one selling the very loaf of bread, but for him he's not going to pay the 18%, and the complexity cannot go away. I mean, he's not going to charge the 18%. The complexity will not go away. So what is this? Is education and then business development. If we are charging all this, then what about these ones who are not VAT rated but selling the same commodity in the market? How are we going to manage that? I think that is the area where the businessmen should be looking at. Number two, this thing removes the middlemen. Middlemen are, in fact, the biggest strike you are seeing there is the middlemen are the ones who are complaining.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because they are go between.
No. With the, I mean,
Tulianjawulo.
yes, I had
Yes.
somebody talk about it, that in Chikubo or elsewhere, if you enter a shop and the item you want is not there,
Yes.
they go to another shop.
Yes, and
they
bring
pick
it.
and they sell it from this
So
particular.
it is
that they
changing-
get that in Njawulo.
Yes, it is
That
changing
difference.
the whole trend of business.
Oh.
Because I've come, I'm buying a saucepan, a flask, a cup, and a mat. But this person does not have a mat.
That is what the traders
So they
are
go
trying
and
to
get a
avoid.
mat, bring here, and he has got a mat at 10,000 shillings, but he has moved. So he wants some 2,000 shillings on top of that. So those are the nitties that are complicating the businesses, and that's why they went on strike. And you can imagine, this has been the longest strike of traders ever since I grew up. Others has been taking 2-3 days, but this took a whole week. I've just passed through town. I can tell you that most shops are closed up to now. So to me, business will just begin on Monday. So the entire week has been
So the
closed.
problem is not solved.
Is
yet.
not sorted, and it cannot get sorted immediately
Thank you.
because of
Thank you.
education and business development issues.
Thank you, Honorable. And Richard, you start from there, and from Honorable Mugore's submissions, looks like the traders also are finding a reason to avoid paying taxes.
Yeah.
That's what he said. Then, why? Why then would they close businesses for all these days, just because they want to avoid? Or maybe you
not
have-
necessarily that they want to avoid, because of the introduction of IFRIS, most especially to the small traders who are deemed to have a threshold of 150 income, which most of them are even complaining we don't make, but they have been forced to say that they make, is the cause of the hullabaloo.
Richard,
No,
start from where
Major.
you would wish to start from.
No, I need help. I need help from these gentlemen because then maybe I will understand. First is to be assisted, to just know, do faith institutions pay tax on their collections? I
Like
don't know.
churches
Yeah,
and
like churches and
mosques.
mosques.
No, we are
No,
just
they don't.
introducing now.
No, they
They don't. Huh?
They don't.
Do members of parliament pay tax on their?
Yes.
Yeah, they do.
Yes.
So which ones do they pay income tax and things?
Yes, pay as you earn. And at 40%, not even
On their basic,
because we
not
earn
on
more
the
than
other-
10 million.
Not on the other.
Not on the other allowances, they exempted themselves.
Yeah, you see, this is where I'm coming to. For you to characterize the longest trader strike in this country, like Honorable Mugore has, as simply an IFRIS issue, I think is to mischaracterize it or undercharacterize it.
It's not about IFRIS.
IFRIS only.
No, it's not. You see, somebody, a colleague from outside, sent me a message, and I want to read because he
Read
said
it
this
out.
IFRIS. I said, when he asked me what is this IFRIS, the system will help in collection. That's what he wrote to me. I said no. In Runyankore, there is something called Nakaba.
Eh.
Yes. So I said, I think this is not about the IFRIS system. I think it is Kwonka Katwakaba.
Eh.
I think that's what it is. You can tell Mugore.
What is the Kwonka Katwakaba?
No, it means I can no longer breathe. I'm dying.
Yes, and IFRIS in labor terms is what we call an ignition
Absolutely.
point.
Absolutely.
That we have boiled.
Yes.
Now this has come, and any strike which comes, there's an ignition point. So the ignition point of this strike was IFRIS.
Absolutely.
But what
It's
is
not about
It's
IFRIS.
not,
Yes.
not about IFRIS
We
only.
must scratch.
Do
under
it. Do it.
the
What do you
surface.
think
You see,
are the underlying issues?
You see, we have in governance, we have accumulated levels of impunity that the people who finance governance have reached a threshold and they just simply cannot continue. Yes, it's just what can they have to find a way of expressing themselves. They have tried to write. These traders say they have written 80 letters to different government officials.
Complaining about what?
Raising issues of unfairness, raising issues of wanton corruption, raising issues of mistreatment, raising issues of not being raising all these issues. And there is impunity and impudence and on the other side. So it really, when we sit and we just characterize this one as an IFRIS problem, I kind of personally, I think we are not being fair to these traders. And you see why this is important is that government cannot tear gas padlocks.
Oh yeah.
It would have been tear gas, military police, water cannon. But you can't tear gas. What do? Let me tell you what I think is going to happen. Characteristically, the traders, there is going to be some bags of money going to the trader leaders to divide them. That is going to be the reaction.
And what next?
And if there will be another threshold. Perhaps this time it will not just be locking. Perhaps.
Oh.
Yeah.
The problem is not solved yet. That is what you're saying, Richard.
You see, if you have a revenue body and okay, Apple, I want us to do a bit of assessment, and next week we come here with, you can even bring the URA people, to ask how many people have been shot, alleged smugglers, in Arua, in Busia, by the URA operatives during the last 12 months, compared to the previous years. Why do you have more shootings today? URA has been here. Those border town smuggling has been happening. You see, if you think that you're going to militarize a tax collection body and that it is working on spies, that you bring people in uniform, then you put them in civilian, and they are spying on everybody. And then you have this pseudo Pentecostal extremism that you have to have fellowship at ranch, and if you are not part of the fellowship, then you are corrupt, or your reasoning will not be accepted. No. I have played a bit of a part in this, what is happening. I live here. I have my children here. I belong to this. It is run by my brothers and sisters. No, somebody must be able to say these things to each other.
The president has agreed. Wait a minute, Richard. We are going for a break, but listen to this. During the meeting with the president agreed to suspend penalties that had been issued on non-compliance to VAT obligations and IFRIS. That is what came out of the statement from State House as a major point of agreement.
Apple, you want to invite me to debate of Chigumaza?
This is the dialogue. We are going for a short break, but when we return, very many underlying issues on this particular matter. Richard says it's not about IFRIS. There are other issues. What are those issues? When we return from a short break, we will go deep into this discussion. Don't go away, and we'll be right back. Welcome from the break. It's an exciting discussion going on, looking at the big stories, and the big story this week has been the sit-down strike by traders in Kampala and other major cities and towns protesting an unfair business environment in this country. And the panel in the studios digging deep into the underlying issues behind this strike, and also evaluating the agreement between the leadership of the traders and His Excellency the President at State House yesterday evening, in which they resolved to reopen shops. But quickly, I will look at now those concerns of the traders, which we think may be actually valid. Listen, gentlemen, the traders argued that URA gives different values to different importers. Patrick, you can listen here. And at different times for the same imported items, They noted the need for certainty and uniformity about the tax liability on imports. They further recommended the regulator should, as much as possible, use valuation methods consistent with World Trade Organization customs valuation, and in special circumstances where values cannot be determined, URA should provide value guidelines on annual basis. Listen to this one also. And competition practices by manufacturers. The traders argued that some manufacturers, notably foreign investors, are participating in distribution, wholesale, retail, and hawking of their products. Yeah. The result in undercutting prices and thus low sales for the Ugandan traders, which goes against the principles of fair competition. Patrick,
yes, I think
manufacturers also involving in retail of the goods they produce. Really, this we can agree. Well, it's not about IFRIS. It's a whole number of factors.
Yes, I think all those matters have been flagged and have been in public domain for some time, and many complaints had been raised regarding that, but the government was not listening. So, but IFRIS being a very, important tool that government has prioritized, then becomes a platform on which now these traders can be heard. There's been a general complaint, like you've read out, about the basis for taxation, how URA has been able to tax imports. And the traders are saying we have what we call GATT, General Agreement on Taxes and Tariffs, that emphasizes, these are World Trade Organization based instruments, that emphasizes assessment and payment of taxes based on the value. The value assessment on what the value of the product at importation should be able to be the one to guide the taxation process. And when it comes here, our laws such that notwithstanding, URA can use an additional layer and come up with its value, because that value at importation might be misleading in Uganda's circumstances and lead to some tax avoidance in some aspects, and that's why
the intention is to facilitate the traders and businesses do well.
No. Pay a fair tax. For example, you can look at the cars. For example, the reason they came up with the guidelines to classify cars is that you could buy a car or acquire a car in Japan at $2,000 possibly dollars. Yet ordinarily its price in that state would possibly be about $10,000. So you have somebody who has the same car in all aspects, same
condition.
make, same condition, but somebody is paying a lower tax, another one is paying a higher tax. So that value at the source of importation becomes misleading on certain products. But then traders are saying here, look here, why can't we
have it
standardized and something like that? The other issue that came through, or that has been coming, on the ban of importation of textiles.
Yeah.
And here traders are saying there are some materials that are experiencing bans, but these materials can actually, part of them are used as part of the raw materials to support the local industry. And others are saying, yes, we no longer produce cotton like we used to do. And as such, if you have a total ban on importation of textiles, then you are in view that you want to support the local industries, you are going to do that to a limited extent, because the industries that we have in place may not produce more than 10% of what is required in our market, and that in a way distorts. The other issue that I see that is very serious and that we need all to look at is the issue of anti-competition practices, where a manufacturer becomes a wholesaler, retailer,
and
transporter and hawker. That, of course, kills business in that stream. The idea here is that if I'm a manufacturer, I am giving business to
retailers,
to a wholesaler.
transporters.
And the wholesaler is also giving business to a retailer, and that chain is complete in that sense. So now when you have a manufacturer who engages...
How the hell would that really happen? I mean, it has been happening.
Yes, it is happening because...
Why? And who is supposed to check?
Yes, we have not been having competition regulations. Parliament recently passed the anti-competition act. Yes, it is yet to be operationalized in a way that there are no regulations and commencement data has not been sorted out. But this is something that needs to happen. Then there is this debate that we also need to scrutinize about the issue of preferential treatment for foreign investors and them doing small businesses that Ugandans would otherwise do. I think that's a very, very delicate debate in my view. Because it is not that whoever is a foreign investor,
whoever is a foreigner,
is an investor. He's an investor. That's certainly not true. And we have thresholds that are in our investment codes that talk about some of these qualifications for investors. So for me, what we need to see is, are the investors paying taxes?
Oh yeah.
If they are entitled tax waivers, are we also local business persons? Are they also benefiting from them? So if there is a fair ground, I don't have any problem Ugandans competing favorably in the market with foreigners if all of them are in the same playing field that is leveled.
Thank you. Honorable, the issue about unfair competition has been thrown to you in Parliament. What have you done about this? Having an investor becoming, a manufacturer also turning into a hawker of the same goods he produces.
This is going to stop. You know, I was bringing a private member's bill and we were at State House when we were handling this issue of NSSF, the Social Security Amendment Bill. And I presented to the President that one of the key issues we want to bring out as a committee of trade, tourism and industry is the issue of the competition bill. He advised me that being a member of the NERM, it is better we work together with the ministry so that you don't bring a private member's bill, but the ministry brings. The ministry delayed, and as a committee, we decided that let us now bring the bill.
Okay.
The ministry pleaded with us and they brought the bill. We went for benchmarks throughout this Africa continent and even India, and we have come up with one of the best competition acts now, which has been assented to. By end of May, according to the minister 2 days ago on the floor of Parliament, the regulations will be out to fight this unfair competition. This unfair competition started with manufacturers beginning with a sales point for staff inside their wall. Later on they turned and that shop would look outside the wall. If you passed all these juice making industries, you find a shop and they are selling at wholesale price to the passerbys. But that is a small community. You would say. So when they found that that was possible, they started joining the distribution chain. Mattress industries. You find now every mattress industry
has a selling point.
So you find that this mattress, somebody who has brought it downtown, is not making money for the community which knows that you can go to the factory and buy the mattress. So in the regulations that are coming, all this is going to stop. For you, if you are selling, you must sell to the staff. You are not going to sell to the public. Selling to the public means
Very
unfair competition.
Very unfair.
Already. So I think this is going to help. And even for foreigners, we have parameters of what a foreigner should do in this country. Is that person an East African? Is this worker a Kenyan, a Tanzanian, not a Chinese? However delicate it is, it should not be an Egyptian to do her working business unless he's a registered citizen of this country. So the unfair competition issues that we have are going to change.
You're sure?
Are going to change with the regulations that are coming, because we are involved in the regulations. So the regulations that are coming are to stop all this. That will help. The government took long, even the president himself, to assent to this for fear of the unknown. But now you can see that it is going to assist government address a number of these aspects, including the IFRIS system, where the unfairness is going to come. Me, I'm paying VAT. For you are not paying, but we are selling the same commodity in the same market. So the tax administration, I told you, all of this is on tax education and tax administration. Good. That's where we are having the problems.
Richard, when you listen to an unfairness that is in our tax systems, you hear that a Chinese opens a shop in Chikubo selling the same products he also manufactures in Namave. That's very, very unheard of.
Yeah.
Do you still think, like you said,
if I could
wait a minute, it's not about IFRIS, it's not about taxes, there are other issues?
The same Chinese takes a huge piece of equipment to mine sand.
In Ruera.
You attempt to take the same type of equipment. So
you cannot.
No, you will not.
So a Chinese is not a Chinese, just a Chinese.
Yeah, the Honorable Mugore he says he's representing Uganda. I request him to go and inspect the war.
No.
Isn't he an honorable?
No, they have been chased twice.
So you see, you see, you come here. We are supposed to come here and say underlying issues, but then the circumstances are that we will massage. We used to be told that in our place, I don't know other places, that when you come to pick mushroom, the small mushroom, there was a common saying that Shweka, Shweka, the one I don't want to say on TV, and for us, because when you come, the children have done something around the same area, and the fries are zzz, and then they say, no, you cover that one, and we pick our mushrooms, and we go and eat them. We can't keep doing the mushroom.
So it's not about these concerns they are raising.
We can't,
it's something else.
Yeah, but you see, it is the threshold. There is a threshold to which people can move, can be pushed, and they express themselves in these kinds of ways. And this is what, and you see why I say that, you see, then you are told to cover that bad thing the children have put and go on. It is not that you don't know that it is there.
The excretion.
It is not that you don't know that it is there. It is because you prefer to ignore it.
So are we ignoring the real issues?
Yeah, we are skirting around.
Now, why are the traders not coming out clear?
They have. I told you, they have said themselves that they have written up to 80 letters. By the way, when there used to be other people unhappy on the street, they would be removed because ostensibly we are protecting the traders. So whoever would come on the street to express themselves, their unhappiness over something, those ones would be forcefully removed because the reason is to protect the traders.
Activists and politicians.
These people, the activists and politicians, would say, by the way, what we are doing, we are protecting you. If you keep not joining us, it will come to you. It has reached them.
Oh.
So we may also be here speaking as if we are
skirting around
and
the
speaking
issues.
as if we are above. It will also come to us.
Let me tell our viewers, the dialogue is on, and you can also be part of the dialogue. Send your comments and observations on 0701. My producer will run it. 0701 609906. Send short comments on the topic at hand, and we are digging deep, trying to bring out the underlying issues on this issue of traders and the business community who have raised their voices, expressing discontent over what is happening within the tax regime in Uganda. Send your messages. We'll be looking at those messages in 5 minutes from now. Tell us what you think. Do you think the problem has been solved now that the leadership of the traders have met with the president? Do you think the problem has been solved or not? And what do you think maybe the underlying issues in this whole matter? Richard, you still have the mic.
No, I think that the strike is not a terribly bad thing. I think it's very useful that now we are discussing some of the things. I have absolutely no problem that it went to the president. I would only have been worried if it didn't go to the president. I do not think that some of these guys really have much they can do. I think ultimately
they met the Honorable Minister for Finance, Planning and Economic Development. They met the Minister of Trade and Industry.
The committee.
Even the matter went to Parliament
and Finance.
But matters did not move anywhere until the president stepped in.
But are they the first ones to do that?
It is not that the matters didn't move anywhere. Whereas
haven't the borders done that? Haven't the youth done that? That's what has happened. Is this new? That it has gone to the president?
The tax waivers.
The issue is if the problem can be solved, I think.
Yes, the tax waivers.
That's where it will be solved.
The tax waivers can be done by the Commissioner General, but a general tax waiver like that can only be done by two bodies. That's the presidency and or parliament, if parliament passes and goes to the executive. So one achievement they made in meeting the president is at least to waive those penalties. The penalties. Business is tough. Even government agencies ask UBC. They ask for those taxes.
Not just UBC.
I'm giving an example.
Every single government agency has been to you in parliament and you have given them billions.
Because business is struggling. And
but Honorable, you've been accused of skirting around the real issues. And if we spend 2 hours speaking about the symptoms, what does it mean?
You have not given us opportunity
Richard
to give
talks about public anger. Public anger. That this is public anger with the citizens looking at the extravagant lifestyle you people in public offices are enjoying. That is why they're asking where their taxes are going or why they should be paying taxes.
I'm happy that I'm not part of those public officers who lavishly spend because I am a simple man. If that is part of the anger, it's not only that, but it's also due to infrastructure.
No, Parliament is one of the institutions of government which is now being accused of extravagance. You even this week, wait a minute, Honorable, you even this week passed a resolution to increase your budget of Parliament by 250 billion.
Not to increase the budget, to pay areas, to I think so, but not increasing the budget. That is for areas of members of parliament for certain allowances I think they have not yet got. But leaving that apart, when you ask a question and I'm starting to explain, I beg that you allow me concentrate on that.
Right ahead.
Because we compete for the microphone.
Let's talk about the
Yes, we are talking
issues.
of the real issues. I told you I'm not part of that. But one of the other underlying issues, the infrastructure development. You are doing like that, but the road, the international road, the Trans-African Highway from Mombasa to Dakar, Senegal, you see the road that is bringing goods. You are taking 6 hours moving just from Jinja to Kampala. That is a very serious matter for a trader. And if the road is like that, potholes and whatever, even these side businessmen, there is no where the car is going to stop, so that a stopover so that they buy 1, 2, 3. Because those people on the streets are relying on passerbys who are passing. But because of the road, which is really like one time our colleague here said that it's in Kampala it was like a dinosaur that was going stepping everywhere. So in fact Kampala Jinja Road is a dinosaur road. Those are some of the things that give anger to the traders. But what have we done? And what the president has said, waive off these areas, ensure that the competition law regulations are out immediately to manage these aspects, and even when they come, for those they are going to affect are also going to make a noise, but they will be for the good.
Okay.
3, do tax education. Administration, don't be too harsh when you are just introducing a system. Which system is this? Very difficult for any local Ugandan even to understand. When you say electronic fiscal, fiscal, the word fiscal, you would have even used the financial. For us, we passed it like that as parliament. But somebody says, what is the fiscal? That is a real term to a local person. Receipting and invoicing solution.
Doesn't this system, okay, I'm seeking clarification, work on the internet?
It does. Does everybody have internet?
That's my question.
That's the issue. Those are the underlying issues where people are complaining. You are insisting.
Doesn't it need electricity?
It needs electricity. People do not have power. There are shops which can make that money, 150. But maybe they don't have power. They are making, if I'm selling mattresses and whatever, the like, from morning to 5 p.m., what power do I need? But because if I will freeze, I will need the power. I will need the power. I have to pay for those bills for power. I need to buy the machine. So the tax administration is a big issue here which must be addressed.
Thank you. John Maugole from Kaberamaido District, Kabweri constituency, that's water,
Yeah.
said thanks for the discussion. I think there is more public, I think he says there is more public education needed, yes, on such a new resolutions like taxation before implementation is effected. Greetings to my honorable. I'm sure he meets.
I thank you. I thank you.
Thank you so much. And he says, I am Karim, watching from Namataba, Mukono. I just thank you for the show and I wish you a great weekend. Thank you so much and a great weekend too, Karim. You can keep those messages coming in 0701 60 99 06. I wish the producer runs it again on the screen. We want to hear from you. Speak on these issues. The issue of closing shops is not the point, and Mr. Museveni is not the problem of Uganda. The problem is corruption and the MPs. I am Mukisa Alan from Chengera Town Council. Pray for Uganda. Here you see people have an issue with your parliament.
Yes.
Keep those messages coming in. Okay, I'll read them in another 5 minutes. Patrick, are we getting out of this? Do you see the business community, the issues raised by the business community being sorted in the near future? Because Honorable Mugoli gives us hope that with the Competition Act
regulations
coming out, then possibly some of them will go out. But then Richard tells you that this is not about these issues we are talking about. It is about public anger, especially on the principle of benefit in taxation, that the tax must have that sense of benefit to the taxpayer.
For me, my context to what you're saying is different. My context is that we have a very loose social contract between the leaders and the citizens. The leaders are the other side, and the citizens are also the other side in terms of expectations on what is required to be done. So you have majority of the people thinking that they are not getting a good deal from the money they pay as taxes. They pay taxes directly and indirectly, but they still see their schools in a poor state. They still see their roads in a poor state. They still see their shops without electricity. They still see the other social services not in a better shape. And yet, every year that goes by, targets are raised and more money is raised from taxes, and the shortfall, of course, being covered by what we borrow.
Debts.
So that distrust and disconnect between the two sides is something that will not go away anytime soon. And as long as people believe that they are not getting a good deal from the taxes that they are paying, then these conflicts between the state and the business persons and the citizens will certainly persist for a very, very long time. So what is important now, in my view,
to eliminate that,
for
that
government,
distrust.
For government is to, and I agree with my colleagues here, invest in education, tax education, to eliminate the apathy that exists, but also to communicate better. For example, the president yesterday, but one launched, was unveiling the Supreme Court
buildings,
Court of Appeal and Supreme Court buildings, and he did indicate that this was constructed using taxpayers' money. In my view, that's a very good message.
Yes.
Because now I know that I paid tax, yes, pain-free, but we have a building that has been set up. Government is not going to rent anymore, and that portion of rent that has been saved is going to construct a school. So now, if we can link what has been saved to improvement of a service, then we start trying to make sense of our public investments and what we're using the taxes for. And in my view, that messaging is what is
we have had a government in power for more than 38 years. Do you think they don't know what you say? They don't believe that it can work?
No. Incidentally, from my own understanding, is that government units are not working in concert on these matters. You are going to have Uganda Manufacturers Association with their own version of events. You are going to have Kasita with their own version. You are going to have Ministry of Trade with their thinking. You don't have Ministry of Finance because you are in affords under Ministry of Finance with their own thinking. Everybody of those is going to run to the president to front there. So there is no concert, there is no work, there is no harmony, and as such, you often see institutions and categories of persons who are not supposed to be competing, but appearing as if they are competing, and in which case then it becomes very difficult for some of these things to be realized. And for me, to be honest, we will have to have a new thinking about the issue of taxes and how we connect the money that we get from taxes to the services that we're getting, but also more importantly, how we commit ourselves to ensuring that we have prudent public finance management. I won't be surprised if this strike of traders is linked, I won't be surprised if it is found that it is linked to the Parliament exhibition thing that has been running on social media. I won't be surprised if there is a linkage. And the moment people start spending or using public resources with reckless abandon, it triggers anger. It triggers mistrust in the government system. And it causes a lot of unrest and inflicting many other losses that might result, including, of course, the losses that we have seen by the closure of businesses in and around Kampala. So for me, the issue of tax administration is very key. The issue of education is very, very important. The issue of the aspect of enhancing the social contract between the leaders and those that are led. The issue of using the public resources very well in terms of actual, but also in terms of perception. Do you know an office of government could be entitled to an award of sorts, but the way it is packaged and the way it is handled, yes, can lead to some misleading perception.
But you see
about it. So it is very important that even our leaders get sensitive, that we have emotions, that we can be hurt.
I wanted to remind you that about an incident in Parliament, and Honorable Mugole was in that house, I remember. The traders are striking,
yes,
on the streets. An Honorable Member of Parliament, most so a minister, is proposing that there should be a salon at Parliament to keep them look better. And I don't know what you make of it, because you're saying even in the presentation, in communications.
Yes, you have to be extremely sensitive.
Yes,
for example,
sensitive.
I mean, I worked in Parliament for 8 years, and I know for a fact having a salon in Parliament will not be the most complicated thing. Yeah. Once they have space. There was space that was created for lactating mothers.
Yeah, that's
breastfeeding. Yes, breastfeeding thing. Having a salon does not even merit being on the Hansard, because this is something that can be administratively handled. But because when you're the other side, you have a lead car. You stay in places that don't even have jam. Even when there's jam, there's a car that will clear your way for you. You don't shop in Uganda, you shop like what we see on social media, the other side. So you get disconnected from reality, and that sense of self-entitlement closes your eyes to the realities that there are some people who get offended by the way you're communicating a message, even when it would be easy. I mean, what would be wrong if there was a business person, they provide space in Parliament in a room, and if you want to go for a haircut, you go and pay instead of going to downtown. I mean, what's wrong with that? So, but when you start making small things that can be handled at that level very important, some people start believing that you are not for them. That
you are for yourself.
Yes, you are for yourself, that you don't think about them. For you, that is extremely important. For you, for them, they have a business is closing because there is a tax liability that the trader cannot even understand how it came about. And for me, once we continue seeing that disconnect between us and our leaders, then we are going to have these running battles all the time.
Thank you so much for the program. More research is needed when our MPs are making laws. I don't know if you believe so, but maybe you believe you pass laws
I told you that
with inadequate research done on what could be the implications of those laws. And he says this double taxation, no. Thank you. Our beloved president, I think he thanks President Museveni, not me, on handling the matter now that they are going to reopen. Let me check on the profile. You didn't give us your name. Irene Ronald is the person who sent in that message. Thank you so much, Irene Itwe. And he says he's Muhwezi Simon watching from Chibuli, Kampala. I'm happy about IFRIS. It will help on overpricing by some of the traders. Okay? You'll tell us whether it has been happening. I have witnessed traders with old stock selling with an increased price because they have just heard that prices of commodities have increased. IFRIS will help on freestyle pricing by traders. Okay? Thanks for the show. The only challenge with IFRIS is that most of the traders were not sensitized and they lacked the gadgets. That has been communicated, and we really thank you so much for raising it again. He says, thanks for the program, the dialogue, and the panelists. IFRIS has come and it will not be reversed back. But all these are caused by too much expenditure on public services. Government needs to amend on its taxation. Instead of increasing the tax base, they are instead reducing it. I am Alex, watching from Kisugu. Actually, if you refer back to Allen Kajina's regime, values were low and the tax base was high. Let them consult her on how she was doing it.
That's certainly not true.
Thank you so much, Alex in Kisugu. Thanks for the program. I am Tumwine Benjamin from Bundubujo. What is happening nowadays in Uganda? It's a sign of the end of this regime. It's your word, it's not my word, and it's your opinion. Well, I now... okay, this is Adieri from Kawanda. The issue of investors being traders is really frustrating Ugandans. Is there a law to protect the citizens? Please, it's high time you rescue us. And Honorable Mugole says the Competition Act and its regulations, which are being now drafted, it will ensure that particular issue. Thank you so much, Adieri. Lauben from Kawanda says, thank you so much for the show. URA should do serious capacity building to traders on how to use IFRIS, and thereafter set up a call center with IT gurus to provide 24/7 support on IFRIS to anyone who needs support. We here unemployed, so URA, he says we are here and we are unemployed, so URA should consider hiring us, provide traders with IFRIS help desk support. Oh, thank you so much, Rauben from Kawanda. Hope they are listening. From one resolutions they made this week, URA, they are going to open a shop in Chikubo.
Yes, that was with the Ministry of Finance.
Yeah, to keep engaging the business community there.
One-stop center for the IFRIS services.
And you should better hurry and see how you can apply and join them. I'll be reading the messages as we close the show in 10 or 12 minutes. Richard, there's something
about price.
Yes,
the thing
Patrick,
is,
conclude on
yes,
that.
The thing is that IFRIS may not ensure that you have uniform prices for all the goods, certainly, because a price is a factor of so many things.
Oh.
But what it will assist, it will stabilize the price level generally, in a sense that if somebody is paying VAT, the price is higher. If somebody does not pay VAT, the price is lower. So that gives an advantage to somebody, a large-scale business person who is paying VAT without not charging VAT, an advantage over the other one. Yet they are in the same band. But what we need to warn our viewers here is that if a trader is telling you that the price of a good has increased because of IFRIS, when you pay, demand for a receipt.
Okay.
Not the IFRIS receipt that can allow you
more.
Yes, to find a return.
Patrick, as you close, I will come back to you, and as you close, I want you to quickly talk about the big shops that have closed businesses in Kampala, especially the Tuskies, because now it has been linked to this tax.
No,
VAT.
No, it cannot.
All those closed long time ago.
No, it cannot.
But we are closing
It
shop.
cannot, because this is not a tax to a business. This is a tax to a consumer.
To the consumer.
So for you, you set your price that allows you to make a margin, looking at the price you purchase the product as and what you are selling at.
Good.
Get a margin. Okay. On top of that, add 18% that will be paid by a customer. Okay. So that in a way, does not affect your business.
And supermarkets have been doing so. They have been paying, the 18% has been on. You know, I've been a general secretary for Uganda hotels, food, tourism, and supermarkets for 20 years. All these supermarkets, the Uchumis, the Tuskies, all closed before 2021.
Okay.
So
it can't be the
no,
issue.
it was an expansionist policy that killed them.
Okay, Richard, you have 4 minutes to talk about the issue Patrick raised, that there is a disconnection between the policymakers and the people, the grassroots people, and he also talks about building public trust in order to get both on the same page. That he made it a recommendation that must be done now, and he talked about also corruption. I usually don't want to ask you about that issue of corruption because I know
it goes off board.
Is it possible, Richard? Because he makes it a recommendation. Do you see it happening? Government now reviving the trust and building bridges between the people who are now living that opulent lifestyle and the people who are paying taxes.
I must guard against going off board. I want to remain friends with Honorable Mugore. When you are living in privilege like Honorable Mugore is, sometimes he sees
things differently.
Yeah, he sees you are being a little bit more frank than he is willing to admit.
That's also polite.
He sees that's going off board. And I can understand. I am not so unprivileged. I'm not so unprivileged. But it is that I am a candidate, probably more than some of you, to be affected. So it concerns me a lot, and I'm not being legalistic. So don't ask me lawyer questions, my colleague, the legal analyst. But you see, we on the screen it says we are talking about underlying issues in this country. One of the most underlying challenges we have is fear to talk about the truth. Everyone you start discussing with, they are like, but woman, you know, it is an underlying issue that we don't want to talk about. It is there, so okay, let it be there finally. Since I had 160 seconds or something like that, you told me. If we are talking underlying issues, let's talk about diarrhea.
Okay.
If you have diarrhea,
hemorrhage,
and the problem is because the water that is being used to wash your eating and drinking utensils is dirty, you cannot say that the solution will be the medicine from the clinic. The solution can only be dealing with the water source. This problem is the water.
Now, so now stop talking in parallel.
No, you see, because I am fearful. I have been cautioned, I have been told to be fearful. I accept.
So you're joining the group?
I am joining the group of the fearing. Let me be fearful. So when you come and say, you see, social contract, disconnect, no. We are talking about the wanton looting.
Okay.
We are talking about the impunity that has come. That's what he calls disconnect. The impunity. The impunity that for you think you should drive everybody off the road. Your car is repaired by them. The people who are guarding you driving house are paid by them. You have delayed where you were doing, and the impunity that you think for you should shop wherever in Switzerland. Please. That is the water source.
Is it true?
That is the water source.
Richard,
don't ask me about truth.
Richard, is it true
that the truth is
that some big people in government are not paying taxes on the goods they import?
I'm not a tax administrator. But the truth is that if you don't deal with the dirty and diseased and sick water that is bringing you diarrhea, the diarrhea will come to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, our viewers. And Richard is now fearful.
Yeah, they have.
Which is not,
I agree.
which is not his, one of his characteristics. No, it isn't. Thanks for the dialogue. Say hi to Council Chichoncho Patrick. I am Carlo from Ruchiga. Oh, you're watching. Carlo, thank you so much. And Patrick, there is someone from our area. Okay, I wanted to get these messages out of the way so that you people in the studios can make your parting, throw your parting shot, and we walk out of this studio. Thank you so much, viewers, and especially those who are sending in messages. Mr. Apollo asked the panelists in the studio why some goods on market have no digital stamp like Wala G and URA. Okay, there, non-corruption. Okay, I think Mukisa Alan, thank you so much. I the stamp duty. I think it has been recently introduced. Is it 2020?
I don't know what stamp is saying.
He's confusing the stamp duty and the digital stamps.
The digital stamps.
They are two different things.
Okay. It is time, I think, we sign out. Okay. Most of the messages are thanking us for the good show, and thank you, viewers. Thank you, viewers. Let me start with Patrick. Did you see? Okay, make your parting short, but tell us whether you believe we can get out of this.
So certainly, yes, of course. There's no situation that is
we can't get out.
That is permanent.
There's no situation that is permanent.
Sooner or later.
Quite obviously. And I am one of those Ugandans in 2015 who recommended for the adoption of the digital vices for collecting taxes.
Oh.
What now?
So you were the man
renamed
who introduced these troubles.
Not introducing.
And those troubles.
Yes. Because at the end of the day, you cannot. At the end of the day, you cannot have a country where you have less than 2 million people on the tax register.
Yeah.
And then you think that you are going to generate enough revenue to sustain government operations and also to provide services. And I also do not believe that in order for the country to raise revenue, that we must overtax salary earners. And yet there are so many other people who have to get to make their contribution.
Just don't talk about cows.
Now, yes, of course, I think Parliament was debating cows.
Yeah.
Yes. So, but for me, the thing is that if you are talking about an asset and value added to an asset that makes an asset owner get a margin, then that margin, in my view, should have a contribution that should be used to support public
So should
services.
cows pay taxes? I mean, sales on cows.
Yes, because you get. I mean, for example, look at it this way: I have bought a young bull. I have fattened them, so I have added value.
Value addition.
Yes. So in 3 or 4 months, for the bull I bought at 600,000, I've sold it
At 1M.
Yes, at 1 million or even 1.5. On that margin, if I discount the cost for animal feeds and then other fattening materials, then that margin that I get, I should get a small contribution and also subsidize.
So is it difficult to determine that margin? What is?
So now for us, our thinking should be, as Ugandans, should be from the income that I get from any source or any financial advantages that I get, what contribution can I pick to contribute to provision of public services and goods. Once we understand it that way, it becomes very easy for us.
Good.
And it stops us from believing that a tax is possibly some form of punishment. And because we are not willing to see the little that we get to contribute to the tax cause, then you find very few people being the ones that are taxed, and you find them very highly aggrieved, and those are some of the things that we see. But if each one of us was making a contribution, think about it. If every Ugandan perhaps worked so hard, and you how many millions are active, possibly 30 million people that are active, and each one possibly worked so hard in a year to contribute 100,000.
It would be easier.
Yes, that's possibly
Honorable, take your parting shot, and we just in 1 minute.
We should increase not the rates, but the base. There are very many indirect taxes that can bring us money. On fuel, we have proposed we are increasing 100 shillings. It will bring us money. That's an indirect tax. Nobody will know.
Why can't you do on alcohol and cigarette?
Even that we are proposing. We are even going to propose on.
You already proposed on spirits in the next financial year.
They're reducing for beer.
But we have not finished the process now. Following these strikes and whatever, it is also an igniter to Parliament to see
go back
broader,
and revise.
To see broader. We are handling tax bills next week. It is these RAPEX bills that have delayed us. So during the tax bills management, we are going to handle that. We are going to ensure that the competition regulations are out. I'm happy because the competition law is like my baby.
Are we getting out of this sooner or later?
Sooner. Because we can't wait so much. Sooner we shall at least, because you see we cannot leave the country, go to the dogs. We shall, this matter shall be solved.
And
I want to thank the President for the bit he has started already to calm the traders to come back to operate, and at least waving off those areas that have been making them make a lot of.
Thank you so much, Richard. 1 minute.
You know, for me, I am grateful that the President stepped in. I hear my colleagues when they say we have Presidential Yosisi. I hear, but that's where we are. And so if we are going to get solutions and Presidential Yosisi is the way to go, let's go there. Yeah. But we need to get these issues. We need to get the underlying issues. If we have to convince smaller rooms where we are not as fearful to talk some, truth, let's convene those spaces and speak truthfully.
Thank you so much, and let me hope next week Baguma will not be fearful and like he has been today.
But
okay, parliamentarians against malaria. You can
yes, there is a petition in studio.
Parliamentarians are fighting malaria.
That is good.
We are asking everybody on 3rd May, all roads lead to Kibuku district, where we are going to commemorate the World Malaria Day.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for watching.
Thank you so much, our viewers. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much to those who sent in comments and observations. Thank you so much, the panel. Thank you so much, the production. Let's catch up next Saturday, same station, in The Dialogue, The Big Show. God bless you. God bless Uganda.